For this video, I want to talk about some of the reasons why we keep clutter. And it's very interesting. You might find some of these reasons apply to you specifically. Some maybe not, but some maybe. One of the biggest reasons that people keep clutter is it gives them a sense of security. Now, if you go back to caveman, cavewoman times, those that had a lot of stuff in their cave, they had the furs, they had the piled up wood, they were more likely to survive the winter. So more stuff equaled survival. And so it could be that we still have that ancestral memory. If I get stuff, I will survive. If I have stuff, I will be safe. I mean, there's lots of other reasons too, but that's one reason is we still have that DNA, those ancestral memories deep within us. So maybe you have a year of stored food. Okay, that can be great. What if there is an apocalypse? You're safe. But if you've had that stored food for 20 years and it's just sitting there and the dust is forming, you might consider, do I need to keep this? Hey, it's got another few years on it, or is it time to let it go? So there's what I call just in case clutter. And I've talked a little bit about this. Just in case clutter are things that you're keeping just in case something bad happens in your life, just in case. Maybe you got a whole lot of extra dishes of the same kind, just in case they don't carry that kind anymore, and just in case some break. That might be a smart thing. Some break. Hey, I've got some just in case. But again, you continue to look. Am I keeping this out of fear, or am I keeping this because it's probably a good idea? It's a difference in energy. In clutter clearing, we're not looking so much at the stuff. We're looking at the energy. So if every time you look at those dishes and you think, I've got these extra dishes in case some break, and you notice fear coming up, that might not be the best reason to hold on to those. As you're going through your just in case, just continue to monitor your emotions. Does this feel like fear or does it feel like being, I don't know, being smart? What's the feeling there? And if you have a whole lot of just in case out of fear, just it's something to think about, something to look at. Another reason that people keep clutter is because it makes them feel validated. It gives them a sense of self-worth. And I mentioned this before. Maybe you got that trophy for weightlifting, or maybe you had a service award that you got at work. And you have those out because they give you a sense of self-worth. That can be a good thing. But also, if you have so many of these that your space feels clogged, it can be clogging your energy. I remember years ago, a friend was helping me go through my home, and she was helping me clutter clear. And she'd ask me about different things. And I'd say, well, that was an award I won, or my Zen master, he did the shikashi for me, or a lot of it was spiritual stuff. These are the ashes from this famous guru someone shared with me. Just a lot of my stuff was spiritual stuff. And she looked at it all and she goes, so in other words, this is evidence that you're spiritual. I'm like, oh, this is evidence that you're good. I'm like, yeah. She said, so make an evidence album. I'm like, okay. She said, so just take pictures of everything and put it in album. And so I did this, and I labeled it evidence. And so I have my little evidence folder. And then after a few years, I thought, I felt really silly. I do not need evidence to know that I'm good enough. Another thing I did is I've been teaching for 54 years, as I mentioned. I had boxes and boxes. In fact, I had our attic filled with boxes. These are the days when people used to write letters of testimonials. And I thought, why am I keeping all of these boxes? Well, it's evidence that someone got value from my work. And it was a healing ceremony for me to release those. It was a healing ceremony to release my evidence album, to know that my self-worth comes from within. I do not need a guru's ashes to feel worthwhile. I do not need people's testimonials to feel worthwhile. Who I am is enough. And as I was releasing and burning, I just kept affirming who I am is enough, just as I am. It was a powerful moment, and I could feel my energy and my frequency shifting as a result of that. Clutter can also be an affirmation of being loved. That painting that your daughter or your son made for you. Oh, they love me. Or those cards that someone wrote, where they kind of tell you how much you are loved. Again, those are not bad in and of themselves. It's nice to have reminders that we're loved. But if you have so much, it's clogging your energy. You want to release some of it. so you can make space for even more love to come into your life. The thing that clutter does is it clogs your energy, it clogs your space, and it keeps opportunities from coming into your life. Oh, here's something else that clutter does. It affirms the identity of who you want to be. Did you get I know somebody did this. They got some cross-country skis. They never used them because he wanted to be the kind of person that did cross-country skiing. He never used them, but it was his identity. I knew someone else who had roller skates, never used them. She wanted to be the kind of person that roller skated. Does that make sense? Or that flamboyant red scarf that never got worn. And I was in her closet. I said, "Tell me about this red scarf." She goes, "Well, it feels kind of too wild for me to wear." And I said, "Well, tell me about it." She goes, "Well, I really want to be kind of a free and wild person, but I don't know that I could get away with wearing that scarf." So for her, that scarf represented who she desired to be. But every time she walked into her closet, it was a reminder that she wasn't who she desired to be. Does that make sense? It was a negative affirmation. So that's another reason why people have clutter. For some people, clutter feels like a duty. They're the person in the family who needs to care for the family heirlooms, needs to take care of them, needs to store them. Is that you? You know, it's a hard one because especially if people in the family are like, well, I don't have space in my apartment. You have room in your house. You can keep great grandma's stuff. And and if you're a kind person, and pretty much everyone listening to this video is, well, you want to take it on. But does it feel loving, connecting you to the family, or does it feel like a burden? If it feels like a burden, you do not need to store it. You do not need to keep it. I am giving you permission now. Or if someone gave you something, a little bit different, but if someone gave you something you don't really like, maybe it's a dear friend, you don't like it, you don't want to keep it, but you don't want to hurt that person's feelings, that is not a good enough reason to let it clog your energy. If this person is really a friend, they don't want to contribute to clogging your energy field. And if you give something to someone and they release it, you do not get to feel cranky about it because it's theirs and it wasn't working for them. I know it's hard because I've given things and like, what? You gave it away? So I'm speaking from experience, but I have to remind myself it's theirs. It didn't work for me. I love that person. I want them to do what works for them. So there's a lot more reasons about why people keep clutter, but I want to tell you one that affects me personally. And for me, it's I paid a lot. Now, growing up, we had very little money. We actually squatted for a while in abandoned World War II army barracks. So if I've paid a lot for something, it kind of takes me back to my childhood. And so it's hard for me to let go because I paid too much. But again, if that's the reason why you're keeping clutter, just be willing to let it go if it's clogging your life. So I've shared some of the reasons why we keep clutter. The next video, I'm going to give you some examples of clutter that may affect you. I'll see you there.